Everyone wants to win. No team wants to go back home empty-handed from a tournament that is the biggest in the world and comes only once every 4 years. As the current FIFA World Cup in Qatar is heading toward its business end and we are all busy trying to predict the 2022 champion, let's go back in time and remember some of the squads that came close but fell short. However, the West Germans fought back hard and won 3-2 in this game known as the Miracle of Bern. The great Eusebio won the Golden Boot for his 9 goals in the tournament, but he could never play in a World Cup again because it would take his country another 20 years to qualify for another World Cup. Their brand of play was called total football, where any of the players could play in any position at any time. To this day, there are those who insist that this Brazil team was hands down the greatest Brazilian team ever. Do you know which team didn't even make it to the World Cup final despite beating Brazil, Argentina, Italy, Sweden, Yugoslavia and Haiti? Welcome on board. You are at the Life Cues Junction. Congratulations, you are at the right channel on a wonderful journey called life. Are you ready for a new ride today? Remember, the train leaves on time. So please go ahead, subscribe and press the bell icon to help us be on time. Done that? Thank you. Let's go. Everyone wants to win. Obviously, the ultimate goal for every squad is to take home the World Cup trophy. No one wants to end up on a losing side after doing all the hard work. No team wants to go back home empty-handed from a tournament that is the biggest in the world and comes only once every 4 years. To win, a team needs to be at the top of its game. However, throughout the World Cup history, there have been a few teams that boasted the best players but never tasted victory. As the current FIFA World Cup in Qatar is heading toward its business end and we are all busy trying to predict the 2022 champion, let's go back in time and remember some of the squads that came close but fell short. In this latest football video, I'll tell you about some of the greatest teams that looked like surefire pre-tournament winners at the World Cup but couldn't win in the end. First up is Brazil in 1950. Uruguay in 1930 and Italy in 1934 and 38 had previously won the World Cup. After waiting for 12 years, in 1950 Brazil finally hosted the World Cup and the home crowd was hoping for a Brazilian victory naturally. You will be surprised to know that there were no provisions for a final match in this World Cup and it used a group stage to decide the champions eventually. Ademir, Zaire and Zizinho completely dominated their opponents, defeating Sweden 7-1 and Spain 6-1 in the final round. At the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil needed only a draw in the last match with Uruguay to win the World Cup. They were playing on their home turf and could have won the tournament, but Uruguay prevailed 2-1 thanks to goals from forwards Schiaffino and Ghigia. So to everyone's surprise, Uruguay took the trophy while Brazil had to settle for the second position. Next is Hungary in 1954. At the 1954 World Cup held in Switzerland, Hungary came with the title of Magic Magyars. Players like Puskás, Székely and Kocsis gave the then Olympic champions a competitive edge with their innovative passing and mobility. Hungary won both of its group stage games, defeating West Germany 8-3 and South Korea 9-0. They eliminated Brazil in a rough quarter-final match, winning 4-2. Then the Hungarians breezed over the defending champions Uruguay 4-2 in the semi-finals. They met West Germany again in the final, and given that they had already beaten the Germans with a 5-goal margin earlier and had scored 25 goals throughout the tournament so far, many saw the final outcome as a foregone conclusion. Also, Hungary went into this final game with a stunning record, unbeaten in 27 matches. When they took a 2-0 lead, it appeared like the country would win its first ever World Cup. However, the West Germans fought back hard and won 3-2 in this game known as the Miracle of Bern. Sandor Kocsis won the Golden Boot by scoring 9 goals, but the Hungarian team still went home empty-handed without a cup. Next is France in 1958. Just Fontaine's record-setting 13 goals for his team will never be topped, and they are sometimes termed as the one-man team alongside Eusebio's Portugal of 1966, that is the next World Cup. But the real star was playmaker Raymond Kopa, who had been named Young Player of the Tournament at the previous World Cup in 1954. The French had already defeated Paraguay and Northern Ireland, setting up a semi-final match against Brazil. For the first 30 minutes, they held their own. But once Robert Jonke went down with an injury, Brazil ran amok, winning 5-2 with a hat-trick from Pelé. Raymond Kopa was voted tournament's most valuable player, and they won the third-place game with a 6-3 victory over West Germany, Portugal, in 1966. The 1966 Portugal team, led by goal-scoring machine Mozambique-born Eusebio, fondly called the Black Pearl, was considered one of the early favorites to win the World Cup. They had already won their group with a perfect 3-0 record, beating Brazil 3-1 and also defeating Hungary 3-1, who boasted one of Europe's top forwards in Florian Albert. Then they defeated North Korea 5-3 after trailing 3-0 in the game. As the tournament's leading scorer, Eusebio finished with 9 goals, including 4 in that game alone. However, their unexpected loss of 2-1 in a game against hosts England meant they were eliminated. Portugal did secure third place eventually, and the great Eusebio won the Golden Boot for his 9 goals in the tournament, but he could never play in a World Cup again because it would take his country another 20 years to qualify for another World Cup. Next come the Netherlands in 1974 and 78. The 1974 World Cup saw the Netherlands become maybe the most infamous near victories in sports history. These Dutchmen played a style of football that was uniquely their own, thanks in large part to the contributions from the likes of the legendary Cruyff's turn, Niesken's bullet passes, and Johnny Rep's boundless energy. Their brand of play was called total football, where any of the players could play in any position at any time. Cruyff and his teammates made it all the way to the finals by passing and switching positions in intricate patterns to overwhelm Argentina 4-0 and holders Brazil 2-0, only to meet longtime rivals West Germany. They took an early lead on the penalty kick from Nieskens before West Germany had even got a feel of the ball, but scoreline became 2-1 in favor of the Germans at the halftime and remained that way until the final whistle was blown. It was such a shame since Dutch had won over the crowd with their magnificent brand of football. As it turned out though, the Dutch were not just a passing fad. They were ready for payback 4 years later at the World Cup in Argentina, but without Cruyff this time. Again, they made it to the championship game, and this time they took the host country of Argentina to extra time before losing by a score of 3-1. Then come Brazil in 1982. Tele Santana's 1982 Brazilian team was viewed by many as superior even to the 1970 World Cup champions. To this day, there are those who insist that this Brazil team was hands down the greatest Brazilian team ever. If you look at how many times the squad scored, it is hard to argue otherwise as well. Socrates, Cerezo, Junior, Falcao, and the white Pele Zico were all adored by fans, and so was the Enchanter and the hunk Adair. However, they were unable to get past the quarterfinals, let alone win the World Cup. With 13 goals scored in 4 games, Socrates and his teammates needed only a draw to go to the semi-finals. However, they lost to Italy in the second round because of weak defensive play. The Italians beat the Brazilians 3-2 thanks to a hat-trick from Paolo Rossi. In spite of their eventual elimination from the 1982 World Cup, Brazil's stunning performance that year will live on in football folklore forever. Then come France again in 1986. There was a certain Michel Platini who came before Zinedine Zidane appeared in 1998 for France. Captain Platini led his team as a pre-tournament favorites in the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. They picked up from where they had left off in 1984, where they won the European Championship by playing attacking football. France's opening World Cup results, a 1-0 win over Canada and a 1-1 draw with the Soviet Union, were not ideal. But watching Platini, Tigana, Fernandez and Giresse was fantastic, and the wins over holders Italy and Brazil gave France hopes of winning the tournament for the first time. After overcoming Belgium in the semi-finals, France's hopes were dashed by a 2-0 West German victory, and they had to settle for the third place. Argentina in 2006. One of Argentina's finest teams included a youthful Lionel Messi, Esteban Cambiaso, Juan Roman Riquelme, Gabriel Heinz, and Hernan Crespo. Leo Messi had an assist against Serbia and Montenegro and also scored a goal that made him the youngest player to do so in that tournament. Maxi Rodriguez's last-minute goal against Mexico in the round of 16 will live long in the memory of every football fan from that era, as will Cambiaso's 24-pass goal in a 6-0 triumph over Serbia-Montenegro. After that point, it looked like the world had finally caught up with the two-time champions. The quarter-final match pitted Jose Peckerman's team against the host Germany. Although the score was tied at 1 after a regulation and extra time, the game was ultimately decided by penalty kicks. Now is the bonus time. You may be surprised with this bonus selection, but hang on with me for a bit and you will understand everything. Do you know which team didn't even make it to the World Cup final despite beating Brazil, Argentina, Italy, Sweden, Yugoslavia and Haiti? It was Poland. Poland had the best record of all the other teams in this 1974 World Cup, even better than Cruyff's Holland. They scored 16 goals and allowed only 5 thanks to the leadership of captain Kazik Dana and the Golden Boot winner Gregor Zlato. Not even the eventual victor West Germany was able to beat as many formidable opponents or score as many goals in that tournament. So why didn't Poland end up as the tournament champions then? Poles were eliminated after a late goal by Gerd Müller in the last match. They finished in the 3rd place, which was good enough to guarantee them a hero's welcome when they returned home. My friend, I hope you liked this video and are having a good time watching our other interesting videos on football. In case you haven't watched our other football videos yet, you will find the link in the description and on the card somewhere on this screen. Let us know in your comments if you feel there was some other great team as well that could not win the World Cup. Thank you for watching. Well, that's all for our ride today. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave us a like and subscribe if not already done so. Thank you for being such a wonderful guest. Take a ride with our next video or see you on our next trip. Till then, take good care of yourself and stay special. Bye-bye.